Hello, welcome back. In this video we will walk through a simple Python program. In the beginning I will give you an overview of what I plan to cover, then I will switch over to Python idle editor, walk you through the script and then run the program in Python shell. At the end, if you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking, sharing and subscribing. Now let's begin. For this first Python program, we will develop a computational model for an extremely simple problem. With any Python computational model, the first step is to understand the problem, the second step is to find the mathematical representation or formula, then understand how to implement the mathematical model in Python, and lastly you need to have knowledge of how to test the program for correctness. The purpose of this Python program is to convert a list of multiple values from feet into miles using a Python for loop or a function with one input parameter. Python uses lists, which are more general data structures that can be used to represent arrays. With an array, multiple values can be stored and each is referenced with the name of the array and specifying an index value. The individual values of an array are known as elements. A list in Python is simply an ordered collection of items, each of which can be of any type. A list is a dynamic mutable data structure, and this means that items can be added to and deleted from it. The list data structure is the most common data sequence in Python. A sequence is a set of values identified by integer indices. An individual item in the list can be referenced by using an index, which is an integer number that indicates the relative position of the item in the list. There are several categories of functions such as simple functions where there is no data transfer involved, functions that return multiple values after completion, functions that specify one or more parameters as data items are transferred to the function, and functions that allow data transfers in both directions. Data within a function is known only locally. This means the scope of the data is local to the function and it has a limited lifetime, meaning it only exists during execution. In this example, we will focus on calling functions to perform a calculation on a list with one parameter. A function defined with one or more parameter specifications allows data transfer to the function when called. The data values used when calling these functions are known as arguments. Every argument in a function call must correspond to a parameter specification in the function definition. The foot is a unit of linear length equal to 12 inches. The foot is a US customary and imperial unit of length. The foot is most commonly measured using either a standard 12-inch ruler or a tape measure, though there are many other measuring devices available. Feet are sometimes referred to as linear feet, which are simply the measurement of length in feet. The mile is a linear measurement of length equal to exactly 5,280 feet. The mile is a US customary and imperial unit of length. To convert a foot measurement to a mile measurement, divide the foot value by 5,280. Now, let's open up the Python idle editor and develop a script that will convert a list of multiple values from feet into miles using a Python for loop or a function with one input parameter. The function will allow you to input the size of the list and feet values within the list. First, start out by putting identification information for the Python file enclosed by 3 quotations. For the program file name, let's title it feet2miles.py. Then the author information, and for that, I'll put my name Lewis. Next the date, which is September 9, 2022, and lastly I'll put a short description of the program. This program converts multiple values within a list from feet to miles using a for loop and by defining a function. The function allows you to input the size and feet values within the list. Now, let's first start off with building a list that will convert multiple values from feet into miles using the Python for loop. As 1 mile equals 5,280 feet, let's make this for loop create values that are multiples of 6,000 to get a good measurement. A list can be created starting with an empty list and items can be appended using a for loop. The append method is an operation of a list and is very useful for creating a list. I want the size of this list to be 4. Start out by typing size equals 4 and press enter. Now type list feet equals open and close brackets, then press enter. This is the empty list that we will append values into. Next, type list miles equals open and close brackets, then press enter. Then type for n in range, open parenthesis, 1, comma, size plus 1, close parenthesis, colon, and press enter. As stated previously, for this list we want it to be multiples of 6,000, therefore type item feet equals n multiplied by 6,000 and press enter. Now type list feet.append, open parenthesis, item feet, close parenthesis, press enter. If you recall from earlier, to convert feet into miles, the formula is miles equals feet divided by 5,280. Therefore, next, let's input the formula for the conversion next. Type item miles equals item feet, / 5,280 and press enter. In Python, there are two types of division operators. The single / divides the number on its left by the number on its right and returns a floating point value. The double / divides the number on its left by the number on its right, rounds down the answer, and returns a whole number. For this formula, we will use the single / division operator. Now type list miles.append, open parenthesis, item miles, close parenthesis, press enter. OK, now we are ready to print the list. Type print, open parenthesis, quotation, values in feet, colon, close the quotation, comma, list feet, close the parenthesis and press enter. The print function prints the specified message to the screen, or other standard output device. The message can be a string, or any other object. The object will be converted into a string before being written to the screen. Next, prior to printing the miles values after the conversion, I want to round the values to 2 decimal places. Type new list equals, open bracket, round, open parenthesis, item miles, comma, 2, close parenthesis, for item miles and list miles, close brackets, and press enter. The round function returns a floating point number that is a rounded version of the specified number, with the specified number of decimal places. OK, now we are ready to print the list. Type print, open parenthesis, quotation, values in miles, colon, close the quotation, comma, new list, close the parenthesis and press enter. Prior to implementing the second option, let's create a blank space by typing print, open and close parenthesis and press enter. OK, now it's time to do the second option for converting feet into miles. For this option, I want to define a function that takes input values to convert feet into miles. As I want this method to take input values, first we need to create input statements. The list will require 2 input items, first the size of the list and second the value in feet. Start out by typing size equals int, open parenthesis, input, open parenthesis, quotation, enter the size of the list, colon, close quotation, close the parenthesis twice as there are 2 preceding opening parentheses, then press enter. Since the number to be input is an integer, therefore we define the data type as int. The data type int, for integer, is a whole number, positive or negative, without decimals of unlimited length. The input statement reads a value of a variable from the input device, in this case, the keyboard. This will display the string literal enter the size of the list. Next is the input statement for the values in feet. Type feet equal list, open parenthesis, int, open parenthesis, number, close parenthesis, for number in input, open parenthesis, f, quotation, enter, open curly bracket, size, close curly bracket, feet values separated by comma, colon, close quotation, dot strip, open and close parenthesis, dot split, open parenthesis, quotation, comma, close parenthesis twice, open bracket, colon, size, close the bracket and press enter. The list function creates a list object. A list object is a collection which is ordered and changeable. The F preceding the input statement means formatted string literals, and it is a way to format your string that is more readable and fast. The word size embedded in curly brackets will pull in the size value that was input above. The strip method removes any leading and trailing characters or spaces at the beginning or end. The split method splits a string into a list. With this method, you can specify the separator. I specified my separator as a comma. Size shown in brackets at the very end will only allow the amount of values to be input that equals the size. For example, if the size is 2, this will only allow me to input 2 values.
Next, let's define the conversion function with one input parameter. Start out by typing def feet to miles.
Open parenthesis, list feet, close parenthesis, colon, and press enter.
Now type list miles equals open and close brackets, then press enter. Next is the for loop.
Type for n in range, open parenthesis, 0, size, close parenthesis, colon, and press enter. Now type item miles equals list feet open bracket, n, close bracket, / 5280 and press enter. This is the formula to convert feet into miles. Now type list miles.append, open parenthesis, item miles, close parenthesis, press enter.
Type return list miles, then press enter.
Next, to call the function, type list miles equals feet to miles, open parenthesis, feet, close parenthesis, and press enter.
Okay, now we are ready to print the list.
Type print, open parenthesis, quotation, values in feet, colon, close the quotation, feet, close the parenthesis and press enter. Next, prior to printing the miles values after the conversion, I want to round the values to 2 decimal places. Type final miles equals, open bracket, round, open parenthesis, item miles, 2, close parenthesis, for item miles and list miles, close brackets, and press enter. Now we can print the converted miles values. Type print, open parenthesis, quotation, values in miles, colon, close the quotation, final miles, close the parenthesis and press enter. Now, let's run the module and confirm the program that converts multiple values within a list from feet to miles using a for loop and by defining a function. The function allows you to input the size and feet values within the list. In the Python idle editor header, click Run, then click Run Module. After the idle shell opens, based on the code we input, Python converts the feet values that are multiples of 6000 into 1.14, 2.27, 3.41, and 4.55. For the second method, let's input the list size as 3. Now, for the feet values we want to convert, let's input 30,000, 40,000, and 50,000 separated by commas. Based on the code we input, the feet values were converted to be 5.68, 7.58, and 9.47.
Thank you for watching my video.
If you've enjoyed this video and found it informative, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Please hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload videos to YouTube. I'll see you next week with a new Python video. Until next time, take care.